welcome to Spirit Switchboard. I am your host, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. Thank you very much for being here today. I hope everyone has had a great week. Hi, Heidi. Hi, Contessa. Thank you for being here. Hi, Sandra. How is everyone's week? Hi, Victoria. Victoria, we clipped the show from last night, Laura Lee and I. If you are new here, thank you for being here. If you've been following for a while, I appreciate all the love and support that you guys show me. You guys help make the show what it is. On Thursday evenings, I've joined Laura Lee Potvin at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we have a new show with the network called Beneath the Hollow Moon. And last night we were talking about mysterious mind creatures. And we had jokingly, I don't know, I'm not even going to say jokingly. I'm going to retract that. I'm going to just roll that back in. I'm realizing how it is very much in my awareness how powerful we are. And this week I have been manifesting like crazy, and not all good stuff. I was worried about losing my wallet, and I was obsessively thinking about it on the Monday. On Tuesday, guess what I did? Lost my wallet. Like, I was manifesting. And so anyway, last night on the show, I'm like, let's wear headlamps and we're going to put dirt on our face and we're going to be like miners, right? And who knows, maybe we will have some interaction, whether it is dimensional, if it is just, on the other side of that veil, see who pops in, if anybody pops in with us. And it was super weird. Victoria from Astrolight Paranormal, I was so glad you were in the chat because it was crazy to me what ended up happening. And there was actually 3 spots. So we clipped it and we put out that short clip. So if you have a chance, did you hear it during the live? Heidi? Was crazy. Super fun stuff though. And I love it. So I'm just saying thank you to whoever showed up to contribute to the show last night, because that was brilliant. That was brilliant. Heather Stewart McLaughlin, thank you for being here. Denise Smith, Jody McGrath, thank you so much for being here. Julie Dow, thank you. Michelle Plummer. It's awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to do my best to not be a squirrel on Red Bull tonight. I was a little nervous about my guest tonight, and I can't tell you why. I feel because I realize how much of an effort she's had to make to share her time and energy and space with us that, again, obsessively thinking about things this week. So please help me welcoming to Spirit Switchboard tonight, Sal Ma, the Light Mother, energy healer, light language activator, and multidimensional guide. Hello, Sal Ma.
Ta-da! You just manifested me.
Yes. Yes. I think that Beverly Rhodes manifested all of us, actually, because I'm so grateful to her for making all of those connections for me. And yeah, she really networks all these people, these beautiful light workers together. And that I feel very humbled that she included me in that little network. So I appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's because of her and thanks to her that we are having the show tonight and the talk tonight.
Yeah, it is. Well, hi, Melissa. Thank you for being here. Azra's here as well, too. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Thank you so much. Both you and Azra were at a conference recently. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, and with Beverly and Tia also.
Yes.
We were at the GSIC 2025, the Galactic Spiritual Informa Connection Conference in Eastbourne, UK. First time that it was organized by Danny Henderson there.
Right.
It was last weekend, and we had just a bliss and a great time. And I'm still processing what I was hearing, feeling, listening to, seeing, experiencing. I cannot put it into words.
There's a video of the craft showing up.
There was not only one craft; there were several crafts.
Oh,
Saturday evening, the flyovers. We were like standing there, starting
amazing.
I think 8 p.m. in the evening until like late 11 p.m., 11:30 p.m. And they were like coming, showing themselves, going away. Then a new one would come. So I cannot even tell you how many were there, but there were several flyovers.
Does the energy shift like when you, when you're collectively outside watching the sky? Does the energy shift? Does the energy shift because of the excitement of people? Does the energy shift in the air making connection as they're appearing?
Well,
I've not had that experience. So
yeah. First of all, the energy always shifts when a bunch of people come together and in order to experience something. This is already the first, I would say, level of energy shifting. And then at one point, what we all, most of all, realized that there was no wind. It kind of like was as if something stood still. This is what we all felt.
Interesting.
Yeah, we were not with the crowd. We were like in a smaller group up in the hotel. We had like a beautiful room at the corner where we could see like the whole sky from a lot of like from 2 or 3 different angles. So we were like a smaller group, and we all felt that.
Amazing.
I can tell you, yeah, for sure. There you feel something different. And of course, like you feel the presence, and the more connected you are, the merrier you feel the presence, and you see even more, and you see things more. We were with Beverly at that night, and Beverly was saying, no, we don't have to go out now. They're still far. No, they're still far. So she was sensing them, She was
interesting.
If they would come and approach. And then at one point she was like, okay, yalla, let's go all of us on the balcony. And then like literally a couple of minutes after, the first one showed up.
Interesting. Beverly's here in the chat. Beautiful people, so lovely, great energies. Yes.
Hello, Beverly.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for organizing and networking and again, sharing time, energy, and space with all of us. Hello, James. Thank you for being here. Wizard Radio FM. We appreciate you. Hello, Dawn. Thank you for being here. Denise Mitz.
Hello, everyone.
She is asking, will you be at the event in the United States?
Well, I have no clue. If it's meant to be, I might be. I cannot decide right now. And I decided kind of last minute to go to the GSIC in the UK, I believe that you are sent where you have to be. So this is like since a couple of years, my approach to life. I rather plan less and like really be guided by my intuition, by my soul, so that I can be there where I have to be.
It makes life magical. There's confidence in that when you really surrender into that flow. You do. It's so weird to explain to people. You really do feel like you have more confidence, more control, feel more empowered with the choices that you're making, because everything you do feels in alignment for you, right? You know what does and doesn't.
Yeah, it's definitely magical, more magical for me. But how do I frame it now? It's painful for others. So if like someone wants to see you and they're like more of the planners, and you tell them, well, I don't know, let's see how I feel. And, so for others, it might be really difficult. You are on the same wavelength,
Yeah.
who don't live in the same,
Yeah.
I would say, like, kind of realm like you are, in like the realm of like the mental realm, emotional realm, and the same approach to life. That might be difficult for others. So then that comes sometimes also back to me, where I also want to cater to their desires, because they're still important people to myself, for me,
Yeah.
But for me, definitely it makes it magical. And not only, magical also in a sense where you actually, you let life happen the way it should unfold, and you are in a kind of like surrender mode, in a like connected mode, and also surrender mode. And 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 by this I realized that more, or the right opportunities, just show up in your life,
To get where you are now, is it a gradual shift, or was there a monumental moment? Did things sort of unfold for you to get where you are at this point in time? Because your
Okay.
background is varied. With your healing modalities, you have all the letters.
Okay, how much time do we have for my answer? Okay, okay, the short version. Well, I had a lot of hiccups, but tell me what the trigger or the start of this was. I believe that I was a seeker ever since I got on this planet. A seeker, friends used to, like 30 years ago, used to laugh about me, like in a good sense, and say like, Salma in search of something. Of what? We don't know, but Salma is in search of something. So I think that seeking, that urge for the searching, brought me to where I am today, and brought me to the understanding of a lot of things that I have today. But I have to also tell you, before we continue, the more I know, the merrier I know that I don't know anything. And this
Yes.
is where I am right now, and this is like, the deeper you dig, the deeper you go. Every time you feel like you got the truth, it slips from your hands. It's like a butterfly, you want to get a butterfly, and then you want to touch it, bing, it's gone. And this is how I see it.
Do you feel we're not meant to know everything all at once? That there has to be a surprise, or more information that is presented after we transition out of this meat suit that we're currently.
Okay, before I answer that, let me ask you a question. How would life be if you would know everything from the start?
Mm,
How would your journey be if you would know, oh, okay, this is your plan, this is your schedule. At 5, you're gonna do this. At 10, you're gonna have that. With 30, you're gonna be here, and with 60, you're gonna, transition. How would
yeah,
life would be if you would know all of that?
yeah,
Okay, so I believe, no, you don't have to know everything,
yeah.
because
I
this
agree.
is your path. I believe it's unfolding. It's an unfolding, and when you know a lot of things, or when you know more than the most people, and when you come to this earth with a certain mission, or a certain background, and wired in a certain way, then of course you know much more than all the others, and then I believe your calling is higher.
Mm,
But in a nutshell, I don't believe that everyone has all the questions.
yeah, I agree. And it takes the sweetness out. I think it takes the sweetness out of the wonderment of life and experiences. If you were to know everything, it the surprises can be sweet as well too, and teach us. So
Yeah, well, I mean, like, this what you just said, for me, has different layers or different facets to it,
yeah,
because when you say like the sweetness of life, the sweetness can also be in something sour, you know and
yep,
and you find a lot of people, when they look back, telling you, oh, if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be here. And this
mm-hmm.
is also part of my journey, awakening, evolving, developing. What triggers all of that? I don't think it would have triggered all of, or I would have been where I am right now if my life would have been smooth, like soap. When you have a soap and and it slides on the table and it just has a smooth slide. I don't think I would be where I am today if that would have been the case. So, like when we talk about what we nowadays have, the energy and what we're experiencing worldwide, the awakening that is happening, or I like to call it remembering,
Yes.
also through a crack. This saying, I think it was by Rumi, right? The crack is the place where the light comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this Japanese art. I don't remember how the art is called, but the Japanese art where they put in the crack of a vase gold in it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
To express how precious a crack can actually be.
Agreed. Tia is here just saying hello.
Oh my God, the whole team is on board. Hello, Tia.
Tia is also going to be coming on as well too.
Oh, nice. You're gonna love her.
So I just wanted to this question is relevant. Melissa Whaley, thank you very much for being here.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa is sharing, I'm really starting on a journey of going with where my energy takes me, and I'm struggling with the people who aren't supporting me, almost holding me back. This talk is what I need. Thank you. Do you have advice for people who are just starting off in their journey where maybe their closest people are not on the same journey, and any resistance, how they can move through that with more grace and ease?
Yeah, I of course don't know the story or the circumstances of it was Melissa, but I can tell you it's like different levels, because someone from your surrounding, the closest people, what do? They usually love you, like in best case, they usually want your best. They usually want to have you in their life. So when you are changing and drifting and like talking all of a sudden gibberish to them, and saying like soul awakening and remembering and language and light language and I don't know, starseed and everything what's going on right now, they don't understand.
No,
So
and they say that you sound like a cult leader.
yeah, or whatever, whatever comes then to the conditioned mind, that I
Fear.
also, but that's a different story. So
Yeah.
they fear to lose you.
Yeah.
So you could try to explain to them. If they don't understand, then I would say go to the next level. Okay, what would you do if they don't understand? And sadly, sometimes going on your true path also means saying goodbye to the old.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's kind of like you are shedding skin, and if you're shedding skin, you leave your old skin behind, and everything that is connected to that old skin, to the energy of that old skin, to the circumstances, to the life, whatever was connected to that. And sometimes it means saying goodbye so that the new and the right frequencies can come in.
Do you feel intention also matters? So as we're doing our personal healing work and we are evolving and becoming more consciously aware, asking for any of those energies that are being released to be felt with grace and ease by the people around us, so that frequency is not hitting them in a way that's maybe uncomfortable. Do you know?
Okay, I don't know if I understand your answer correctly.
So
In general, intention is everything. It's the core of everything.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by intention in regards to relationships?
When you're healing, when you're doing your healing work and you're releasing and letting go and you are purging energetically, emotionally, on all those different levels, asking for that to be felt with grace and ease by the people around us, or that it's transmuted back into love, or however that energy is that is being released is felt gentler by the people around us, not just vomited out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, someone who sits on the rooftop always has a better view, or a more understanding view than someone who is on the first floor. So when you are someone who's like evolving and understanding more, and like have like an opening and a better, a deeper connection to your life, or to life in general, and all of that, I believe it's kind of your responsibility to navigate that also with the other people, because they don't understand. You understand them more than they understand you. That's what I mean with the different views, the different angles. So it would come back to your responsibility of making them, or trying to make them understand, or this is also a solution that I had for my life, because there are still some people that I know for ages, more than 30 years. They belong to my life. They don't understand what I'm doing. They don't understand what I'm talking about. They don't even understand why I went to GSIC, It's like they looked at the video and was like, okay. They couldn't do anything with it. So I'm fine with not sharing that side of me with them, And when you look at your life, and you look at your relationships to other people, how much do you really share 100% with everyone? You don't. Maybe not even with your partner. I think even there is a bit of mystery, or it should be maybe a bit of mystery.
Right. And if you don't have a partner, that's a really big mystery. It's a mystery part. It's just a mystery.
Yes. I hold to that.
And I've always felt too, like, people get on this very rigid train of thought and focus when they get on their healing journey, because it feels good, right? It feels you're waking up and you're curious, so you're seeking. You really are seeking everything. You are a sponge and looking everywhere for information and wanting to move forward on your path. And we forget that everything we do goes to the collective. So that collective, we're all connected. So I push it quite a bit, actually, that when we're doing healing work, that we are including the relationships, not just singular people, like sending our energy and healing, or sending grace, or whatever that is, to all coworkers, all friendship relationships, all mother-daughter, all parental. So it goes to that collective consciousness and doesn't wham those people who are not ready for those frequencies, who will react like a hurt dog. A hurt dog doesn't understand you're trying to help it, so it snaps at you more. But those people who are in fear mode, if you're trying to, sometimes they're just not ready to hear the message. So you kind of have to do it gently through a back doorway, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, this is a vast topic, and like also I would say like very complicated, because even when I have clients coming to me and telling me, for example, whatever they want to work on, they tell me, Salma, yalla, let's do it. I'm ready. Let's do it. Let's get rid of this blockage, whatever this is. And then I see, no, they're not ready. Because it's not meant for them to release that kind of blockage at this stage of their path. You know what I mean? So even people who are willing and open to transform and to heal, if it's not meant to be at that point, it won't work. And this is maybe the unjust part or unfair part of that. I've seen it in clients. So then imagine, how would it be with people around you who don't have that awareness about themselves? Who don't have that consciousness about themselves, about like that we live from the inside out, not the outside in,
Yeah,
so,
agree.
But the point that you are, I think, also referring to like send energy into the collective consciousness, or the collective subconsciousness, is that when you, for example, when we say, okay, in order to heal in a relationship to someone, you start with yourself. You look inside of yourself. Okay, what is my dynamic? What does that represent inside of me, that relationship I have to the other person? What does the other person trigger in me? So very often when I refer these questions to myself and find a solution and the answers in myself, sometimes out of magic, magically, all of a sudden the dynamic to the other person changes without me addressing anything to the other person or the other person changing.
Yeah.
That's one part of the mystery.
It is. It's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Deb Morris, I adore you and love you and so very much. Thank you for being here. Deb is sharing, I had plans collapse today. Very frustrating, and now I know why. It was for the two of you today to hear you both.
Oh, thank you. I hope you will get a lot from this talk.
Tia is saying, say goodbye to loneliness and hello to connection to like-minded souls.
Yes. And this is where I just wanted to mention Beverly. Beverly, you are like, whoa, it's spooky, you know. Just wanted to mention like people like Beverly who are on a certain level, I would say, let's say it this way, who connects people and who connects like-minded, like light workers and those who really want to work for the light and really want to do good. It becomes more and more crucial and important for these kind of people to really do that work, you know, to do the networking, to have other people connecting. Even when you are someone like that and you are a networker and you are a social butterfly, use that for this kind of purpose. This is what I would say. It's becoming more and more important.
Yeah, and it's being of service in as many ways as possible.
Yeah. What does she write? I cannot read it, you know, without my glasses.
Beverly is sharing new awakenings. The world sees the creation of light bridge workers to help support those just starting on their journey. The right person to help connect and make sense will arrive. It's always divine timing, right? And what does that mean, to be a bridge between dimensions?
It's all divinely orchestrated.
Divinely orchestrated.
To be a bridge between the dimensions. What does that mean? What does that mean spiritually? Or what does that mean on our earth, you know, on the life of our earth?
So for people that are new to this conversation, who are just starting on this journey, when we talk about dimensional, alternate realities, alternate dimensions, that's somewhere very over here in their realm of understanding, right? So when we talk about multidimensional healing or multidimensional guides, what?
Yeah, I would say to simplify it for the newbies, I would say spiritual newbies. So to simplify it for them, imagine or like go back to your body first. Understand the different dimensions of your body, you know, because your body is a machine, like a spiritual machine. You know, you have different gateways or different portals inside of your body, you know, female and male, some common, some different. For example, your mind is a dimension, okay? It's the mental dimension connected to your outer layer. So imagine your body being like a cake, you know, a cake with different layers, you know, and the physical layer is like the frosting on the outside. And then you have like different yummy, creamy, liquidish layers inside. And every layer has its flavor, its spice, its texture, its connection to the other layers, and also its functionality. So, and this is also what the human body is. You know, the human body has different layers connected to the different dimensions of your being. You know, you have the mental plane, you have the astral plane, you have the emotional plane, you have the physical plane, you have the celestial plane, you know, and so on. So you have the different planes. So these are the layers, energetic layers around your body that create your aura, that create your field, you know, the donut that we all have around our body.
Yeah.
So this, we are connected. Then you have the different organs in your body that all have a consciousness. You know, what are we made of? We're made of 70% water and the rest are cells. 70, 80 billion cells. Each cell Each cell has a brain in itself, carrying memories, carrying information, carrying structure and purpose, mission. You know, so as I said, your mind, your brain is a mental plane, a mental dimension. Your heart is like the gateway to the universe, which is also a portal to a different dimension. Then you have your lower body, the chakras, the energy centers in your lower body that also create a portal to dimension. So for everyone who's new here, I would suggest start with really understanding what your body is and the spiritual functionality of your body. Then we can talk, okay, how am I connected? How is my soul connected to the universe, to the vastness of the universe, to the multidimensionality of my soul's existence, Then we can talk about that. Does that answer your question,
I
Caroline?
love it. And Beverly is, I'm so glad that you're in the chat. Azria as well too. Tia, I'm not sure if you saw Beverly's episode as well too. I love that you all use food analogies.
Uh-huh.
It's like cake. Negative energy felt like, how did Beverly, so like a brownie. I think Beverly talked about it as a brownie. I love that you guys use food as an analogy.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think it's like, food is the closest to your stomach, and what's the closest to your stomach is the closest to your emotional center, because our
It is so true.
the stomach. So I guess most of the people can relate to that.
Yep, to food for sure. Deb, my lovely Deb is saying possibly the best explanation of chakra energy I've ever heard.
Oh, thank you, Deb.
Yeah. Hello, Sherry Madigan. Thank you very, very much for being here.
Hello. Well, I like it when the audience is so engaging,
Yeah.
You can ask me questions.
Yeah, questions are welcome, and engaging in the conversation. The chat really helps carry and create more connections as well too, right? Beverly is sharing yippee food, cake with layers, best way to understand. So true. It's so true.
We can tell a cook or baker to create like a chakra cake or something, This is a 7-layer body cake or something.
When you're doing that work through those different frequencies, could you explain what being grounded or staying grounded, or how you stay grounded when you're doing light work or energy work?
Okay, you mean like the energy healing or the light language or
both? Because I think it would be different, right? Those higher frequencies, and we touched about it at the beginning before we went on air live. So you can approach it in different, for people who are just beginning. So most people always start with Reiki. Everybody starts with Reiki on their journey for whatever reason, or cranial sacral or reflexology. People tend to start with all that stuff at the beginning. So let's start with that and then move up.
Yeah, this is because I also started with Reiki because this is kind of like the easiest in brackets, because it's the most like straightforward energy healing modality. But coming to the being grounded is important in any case. Being grounded, because we function on a vertical and horizontal plane. It's both. It's not either or. This is also something that I see a lot of people who are remembering, awakening, doing the healing. They're kind of using it as an escape, and this is not good. This is not right, because you need to fully embody and integrate your transformation. So being grounded on the ground, connected to the ground, is very important in any case. It doesn't matter what kind of frequency you're working with. So you can imagine like being a trunk, a tree trunk. So the more roots you grow into the earth, the merrier and the brighter and the nicer and the more beautiful you can shine and like grow in the top. The more branches you can create. So
Yeah.
it's like that. So groundedness is very important, and you learn that no matter which healing modality you start with, you as a healer, or let's say you are a healing vessel. You are not the I'm not a healer, but I function as the healing vessel for the divine to act through me. Okay, so for me, or for someone like me and any other one who is exposed to that, it is the first thing you learn. You learn spiritual hygiene, and in your
Yes.
spiritual hygiene,
Yeah.
ground is very important. When I work with clients in energetic spiritual area field, I give them grounding techniques, and I do the grounding with them first, and I make sure they are really good grounded. So
Yeah.
it's very important. And coming back to the Reiki, yeah, Reiki is I don't want to say, when I say it's the simplest or the easiest, I'm not judging the modality, or I'm not judging the effectivity of it, not at all. But it's really like most of the people, it's easier to attune to it.
Yeah.
I
I think it's most accessible too for people.
Yeah, it's exactly, maybe the accessible is the right word. Yeah, because I also did pranic healing to the master degree, and it takes you several years, and it's really like based on protocols and different books, and where you use colors and crystals and stones and like different techniques, etc. So it's kind of like a really whole deep school. It's different.
Yeah. Azra, right? Works for me. Yes, a chakra cake. We need Snackwana in the chat today. Because, yeah, she would appreciate all the food comments. Sherry Madigan. So she is saying, yes, sure. I started with Reiki, then mediumship stuff. Tia is saying the same thing. Me too. I started with Egyptian Reiki. James, our friend, Wizard Radio FM, our bodies are like batteries. Agreed. We need to ground and to
Yes.
recharge ourselves.
Yes, we are biomagnetic field around us. Yes.
Thank you, Laura Lee. I appreciate. So I had a thought. I have to double check because it came and went. Oh, well, especially for people who are just starting out, it's not always a gentle healing journey when we start off on this path, right?
No, of course not. Oh my God. Hiccups. It has to get worse before it gets better. This is in most cases.
Layers of it.
Yeah, of course.
And returning back to it when you think that you're done.
And even after years, you find yourself in a similar situation. It was like, that again? Didn't I leave that guy 5 years ago? Now he like pops up again in a different suit and it disguised as someone different with a different name, but same pattern, same dynamic. You know what I mean? So yes, this can happen. This can happen. It's really, we are layers, as they say, like an onion.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to practice walking away from what's not in my highest good. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to practice.
Thank you for making me aware. Exactly.
Yeah, so that you don't get caught in the negativity of it, right?
Yeah.
Gratitude and thankfulness.
Yeah. Or if you don't, or if you just like getting lazy of healing or transforming, or you think like, oh no, khalas, I have been there, done that, I can't anymore, and then something happens and you're bam, triggered again, or like forced to do it again.
Mm-hmm. Agreed, Laura Lee. Laura Lee is just sharing inner healing is a lifelong journey. So Laura Lee is my So Laura Lee and I co-host together Beneath the
Mhm.
Hollow Moon on Thursdays, and Laura Lee has a beautiful show on Mondays called The Angel Rock with the UPR network as well too. And Laura Lee has all of the I just can't even remember shamanic healing, animal communicator, mediumship. She's got all of it. She's got
Oh,
all of it.
wow.
Crystal Reiki. Am I doing this right, Laura Lee? I'm not doing all of it justice, but you know that I love you.
Okay, beautiful.
You're welcome.
Nice.
You're welcome. Same as Deb Moore. Deb Moore's up there somewhere. She started off as a lawyer and a nurse and an author and writer, and she's a medium and energetic healer as well too.
Oh my God.
In California. So
Beautiful.
we're connecting from all over the place. Hello, Karen.
Technology does, you know.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Karen. Could you explain light language?
Yes.
Light language. And are there different is there different levels? Is there different light language?
Mm-hmm. Well, what is light language? Light language comes in vibration, sounds, movements, and like words that come out of your mouth that your mind does not understand, because it's not a language that you learn. It's not a linear language. It's not when you say a word house means like what you have in mind, because you got conditioned to know what house is, you know. It's because of the frequency of the word, you feel what it means. Very often when I speak, I don't know what it means, but the other person I speak to feels it, because it's vibration, you know, vibration that is broken down as energy, as light energy coming through me and out of me. Um, so and this can occur in movement, sound, frequencies. So, for example, when you go to Afrikaans have in their language a sound in it. Mwah. You know, they speak like this. So this is a sound that also can come out when you have when you speak light language. Or, for example, when you go to Mandarin, Mandarin has one word, and with 4 different tonalities, that word means 4 different things. So, and this also happens in light language. So you could say that actually light language is a source, the origin language, yeah, and then the language that we learn on Earth, the human language, is actually derived from that. Light language is the language of your soul. So as many souls there are, as many light languages there are. Because
that's what I was curious.
When I tell you, for example, Carolyn, you know Carolyn, my dear, I really have to tell you something.
Okay.
I don't like you. Would you take it serious? Probably you wouldn't, because the tonality is what comes to you, not the words. When I tell you, Carolyn, you know what? I'm so angry. I'm not angry now, but I'm trying to be angry. I'm really trying to be angry now at you and like to tell you like how much I love you. I can't anymore. It's like really, I love you. It wouldn't come and touch your heart, because the frequency of my words don't match that.
Yeah.
Okay? And this has also been proven in communication studies, that the percentage of what is being said is the least, 5 to 7%. Okay, so how you say it, this has the most percentage, and this is what light language is. You know, you feel the vibration, you feel the frequency of the words, of the sounds, of the movement with the hand. And when you want to extend the energy of the light, you know, you can even say light expresses itself through artistic pieces, you know, writing, painting, yoga, you know, that all could be also channeled through the light and into that kind of these kind of movements and pieces.
So would dance be language as well too then?
Dance, yes, of course. Yes, there are also light language dances. Yes, of course, for sure.
Deborah Morse, I'm thinking of you in asking that question. I have taught my children that from a very young age, right?
Yeah.
And I have chose to not engage in conflict with other people in light work sort of community who gave me a hard time about not knowing names of guides or names of, and I said, but I know who they are because I feel them and their frequencies are all different. So I know who I'm working with because each one feels different. The same as if my eyes are closed and I'm sleeping, half asleep on the couch, I know which child has entered the room by their frequency because each child feels different.
Yes. Yes.
Frequency is important.
Yes, I have an incident that happened to me with the client. The mother was with me in the room, and she was releasing her grief and like crying, and it was really very, very, very heart shaking for her. And her little son, I think he was 3 years old at that time, was outside with a nanny. Later, she told me at the same time she started crying and bursting out, her son started to cry. He couldn't hear her, but he felt her, And this can also happen, like it happens, like you are in this country and the other person is on the other continent, because we are connected energetically. This is also how energy healing can work in a distance. And these kind of this kind of work, energy healing work, or whatever other work that is related or similar to that, can also work in a distance.
Yeah. Laura Lee is asking, how does someone begin to start speaking light language?
They come to me, of course.
Yes.
Well, first of all, I must tell you, it's a remembering, it's a reawakening, because before we come to this earth, this is the language we have spoken. This is what we were attuned to as souls. So, and then we are pressed into this body and have our experience here on earth, path on earth. So we start to forget. With every year we grow older, and the more we get conditioned, we start to forget. So it's a reawakening, remembering. And what happened with me, I have to talk a bit about me to come to the answer, is that for me, it took me 2 years to get out of my mind and into my heart, to get really to get the grasp of what all of that is, and into my mind and get connected to it. I was 2 years doing a special program with star seeding and all of that. So it was not only focused on light language. So what then happened with me was that this person I met 2.5 years ago, she told me I am connected to the star mothers, and I'm one of them, and I would carry light codes and frequencies in my field, all of that, to reawaken the light language in others.
So are there some people specifically encoded with that?
Exactly. So this is the point. That's why I said I need to talk about me for a moment to explain that. I was not looking for this. I was not seeking that at all. On the contrary, I was spiritually, religion-wise, etc., somewhere else. And I was like, what are you talking about? What is this, And then things happened, and I started a session with that lady. I have the story on my website. In detail, I explain it there. Fast forward, after 2.5 years, I am where I am today, and I can really not understand how I came to be all of that and name myself the Light Mother, and I'm doing that as out of humbleness, not out of ego at all, because again, I didn't look for it. I didn't search for it. It came to me. So what happens is, To be activated is you need to be or reawakened, remembered. You need to have someone that carries these codes and frequencies, or let's say has connection, the channel, to download these codes and frequencies for you, so that your body, your energetic field can be kind of like, switched on again.
Yeah.
What was hidden can be switched on again. So ideally, you find someone who carries that in themselves. Then you have people who can listen to a video of 20 minutes activation. They call it activation. It's actually reawakening, remembering. And then they get kind of like switched on and they talk. This happened to me in the first session. Something came out of me and I didn't know what it is. But the point is, it's not about just getting it out and reawakening. It's also about understanding it, understanding the power behind it and the responsibility that comes with that, because it's not dark language, it's light language, which means it comes from the divine. And if it's not coming from the divine, based on the divine, it's not light language. Okay, so there is a certain responsibility and humbleness that comes with it. It's very important. So you need to understand it, not only reawaken, and you need to understand what it is. You need to understand what it does to you, to your field, to other people, and you need to understand how to utilize it, because through that connection, that reawakening, you get wisdom, you get insights, you get knowledge, and you get different. I'm different. I cannot tell you how different, but I'm really different since half a year ago. If you would have told me that I would be appearing in a show like yours, I would have said, not me, not my thing, never. Yeah. And now it's like I'm talking about GSIC and all of that. And
we're so blessed to have you share.
Yeah, thank you. I'm honored to share my story, and share my view of the story. It's like understand that everyone has their own view of the story that creates the puzzle or the mosaic, So, and again, I'm not claiming to know everything. The more I know, the merrier I don't know. But I'm giving you my own experience, that I have in my 30 years of quest, of seeking, of searching, of resisting, of remembering, of awakening, of fleeing, of doubting, all of that, of questioning, and especially of getting through the conditions of my mind. I have been trained to be a mental trainer. I worked with high-level athletes in Egypt. It's my second home country, with young national champions, and my focus was the mind. So imagine someone who's trained to work in the mind, and how difficult it is to get through the mind, because light language is something that your mind cannot grasp. If you try to understand, and that was also my problem, if you try to understand what the hell is she talking about, if she talks to me in that, she talks to me like this, what is this? What is this nonsense, So it took me that time, and I'm very grateful for the patience of my teacher. Thank you, Carol. And I'm very happy that, that she was able to navigate me, and that I'm able to do what I'm supposed to do, what I have never thought of me being in that position and doing what I'm doing.
So your human self never thought of it, but your soul would have known that was your mission or purpose, would it?
Yes, I guess so. At the end of the day, my soul God was stronger than my human avatar,
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
And that's why also I write my name like this, I was born Sal Ma. This is an Arabic name, which means peace or the peaceful. And then through the events in my life, my history, my name got changed to Selma, Selma. So this is my human persona, 3D name, as you would call it. And now I renamed myself to Sal Ma, presenting more the essence of my soul. This does not mean that I'm denying Selma Köhn. I'm not denying my 3D existence, my persona existence. Right. I'm combining both. But who is now in charge is my essence, and it resonates with me. It gives me bliss, it gives me power, it gives me a grounding, it gives me a lot of things.
The energy shifted when you started to speak that way. The strength and love is so powerful when you started to share in that way. It's just almost staticky, like that static energy shifted. Okay, let me come back up because Heidi shared an experience that seemed to resonate with what you were saying. Heidi is sharing, my very first mentor many years ago would channel light language to our little circle, and often I would channel along with her, although I had no clue how I did, or sometimes still do. Still do it.
Beautiful, beautiful, Heidi.
Thank you, Tia, again for being here. Wow, such an awesome explanation, Sal Ma. We are blessed to hear your knowledge and experiences.
Thank you, Tia.
Karen Sloot is saying, pleasantly find my way here Fridays, divinely directed. Thank you. Debbie Pilon, thank you so much, Debbie, for being here.
Really, magic happens when you put your avatar aside, and let your soul be in the driver's seat. Really, magic happens.
Yeah. Hi, Sam's Pretty Paranormal. Sam Headley, thank you so much for being here. Sam is a beautiful soul. She has her YouTube channel as well too, called Sam's Pretty Paranormal. So
hello, Sam. Good evening.
Heidi shares, thank you, Sal. Have you heard of the light beings or the protectors of the light beings? I feel they're a part of the light language, and maybe who gave me the syncs to remember those parts of my soul.
Well, I mean, like, there are multiple light language. They come in different frequencies, vibrations, shapes, forms. Each one of us have their own connection and different connection to these light beings. I think it would be a good idea to investigate who are these beings that are around you, that you feel around you, because I cannot tell right now who are these beings. They are not like beings. All the beings are not for everyone the same. For me, for example, I'm connected to the star mothers, and I definitely feel them around me when I work, for example. Other people would say, no, I have like sisters from Sirius, for example. So it's different beings, or let's say I'm connected to former very popular spiritual leaders, or I have relatives who are my guides. So I think it would be good for you to go deeper into that.
Thank you for sharing that. Wizard FM, Wizard Radio FM. Thank you so much, James, for always reminding me and keeping me on track. So we're just at that midway point already. So I just need to do our
time flies.
It does very quickly. So I just need to do our station ID really quickly, and then we can pop back into our conversation. So thank you so much to everybody who is just joining us now. Thank you so much for being here. You are listening to Spirit Switchboard, and I am your host, Carrie Lynn Bullhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. And today's guest is Sal Ma, Light Mother, and we are talking about integrating light language. I appreciate that you do that, James. It helps me stay on track. Heidi is also sharing, indeed, several types, expressions of light language. These beings showed up to me recently, last few years, and I'm curious. Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, like, if she's interested, I don't know if I can say that, but, Azria is doing the alien DNA. And she does it very accurately and very nicely and very, like, with very beautiful generated visuals. So maybe, Heidi, you could get in touch with her and, like, investigate that for you.
And Azria is going to come on to explain what she does in June. And she's also going to be on the Angel Rock with Laura Lee in August. If you miss her on my show in June, she'll be there as well too, if you don't have an opportunity before then. I know we can't wait to have Azra on. We're all excited.
Yeah, be excited. It's don't want to say too much.
Are there, I know that we sort of probably already touched this, but specific, are angelic beings and galactic beings different and frequencies are different? And is the light language attached to one more than the other? Is it separate?
Well, as of my understanding, your light language is attached to your galactic dimension, which is your soul. I think I cannot even say your higher self. It's actually your really soul, the voice of your soul. So this is what your light language is connected to. My galactic dimension has for sure a different frequency than any angel, and even angels have hierarchies, so you have different frequencies in those angelic hierarchies.
My brain just went 18 different directions. There's so many questions that and this is why it is like a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong journey of learning and integrating and processing. And then we start over again on a different level, integrating and processing and moving forward, right? So light codes. Can you explain what light codes are as well too?
Yeah, light codes are frequencies and vibration. You know, this is how I understand it, what light codes are. Right. And light codes can also, I believe, come through for example, through the sun. You know, the solar flares that we have been experiencing in the last weeks, let's say, or even like years. You know, the plasma that comes through that is also they are also codes. So you could also say that this is light code. And since your blood has plasma, it directly connects to your blood. You know, plasma from the sun, from the solar flares, bam, gets connected to your blood. That's why a lot of people might feel tired, might feel exhausted, might feel like, what's going on? I'm not the same anymore. You know, I cannot even stand 5 minutes in the sun because the sun has changed. I'm like, feel dizzy. I feel not good. I feel not in my element, because these were the codes that came down through the solar flares to kind of not activator, but kind of awaken us, you know, and giving us that next level or the possibility for the next level ascension.
So if we're talking about ascension, how do you see the frequency of this new earth, and how do you see or perceive humanity's transition unfolding? Are you seeing more people becoming consciously aware? How does that?
Yeah, absolutely. I see it globally, that a lot of people come consciously more aware. A lot of people are doubting what they have been told to. A lot of things are coming to the surface since 2 years, immensely. That also makes people doubt. There are a lot of people who don't have the courage to go down that way.
Yeah.
You know? They feel, they sense, they suspect, but they still are so intertwined or connected to their physical or to their earthly identity that they don't go there, you know.
Yeah.
But I think eventually they will be forced to go there, because eventually the soul is always stronger than the avatar.
So will they be forced to, or does free will kick in and they can choose to tap out?
Of course, free will is always there. Of course. I mean, like free, like at the end of the day, it was also my free will that brought me on that journey. I could have also like said, "Oh no, that's nonsense what this woman is saying," but something inside of me was not, because I'm a seeker, and I'm very curious. That inside of me like got itchy. I was like, no, I need to know. So I went down that path, and to come back to your question. Definitely free will is, of course, the core of everything. But I also believe that sometimes circumstances happen for certain people and they somehow find themselves changed and evolved and developed without them consciously choosing it.
Do you feel this lifetime is a convergence point, like for past lives or like past and future soul experiences?
You mean like an important
Yeah.
switch or like a key
Yes.
point?
Yeah.
This lifetime?
Yeah.
That's a very good question. That's a really good question. Let me phrase it differently. I believe that we are in the age where consciousness rose to a level where more people have the opportunity to connect to that consciousness and wisdom. I believe 200 years ago, what's happening today wouldn't have been possible 200 years ago. Because there is the cycle, of almost 26,000 years, 26,000, 2,600 years. Every almost 2,600 years, there is a cycle. There is a rise in consciousness because there also is a rise in technology. And the more the technology rises, you have, on the other hand, also the consciousness rises. And I think this is also an answer to one of your questions that you asked before, about the ascension, of the ascension status and level of people. So I believe that we live in an age that is very important or very significant of the development for the development of the earth. And I believe, and out of my own studies and like everything I have been researching, this cycle happened several times.
So regardless of where we are in our journey, we're always going to continue moving forward, like evolving
until a certain point, and then I think there will be a reset again. This 6-year cycle.
Yeah,
I think it comes with a reset.
Interesting.
And then there is a question of, okay, what happens after the reset in the spiritual realm? Because I believe that this is then reflects on, I guess, the development for the universal and spiritual realm. What happens then on other planets? If the Earth planet has a reset, what happens somewhere else? What happens in the universe because of that? That would be something I would like to know. If anyone knows, please tell me. Send me an email. That would be something really looking into,
Yeah. Beverly, Sal Ma and I did discuss this. So I'll put this up. I'll read it to you.
Right,
we spoke about this before we went on air. Could we be cheeky and ask for a light language transmission for the collective consciousness towards the end of the show? From the
wow. Okay. Yes, we can. We can. Before I come back to this, I wanted to tell you something. The word ascension to me, I like to use descension, because it's not we are going somewhere, because people believe when they ascend, they leave their groundedness and they escape into it. But we are not here on earth in that human body to escape. We are here to integrate. So I always say it's more like a descension. It's more like through the healing, through the energy work, through light language, you create your field, you prepare your body, your field to receive all of that. It's like having a socket and you put a certain volt into it. If you put too much, the socket will burst. So you have to be careful with the volt. And it's the same with the body. So you're preparing your body to receive. So it's more like a descension in order to integrate in the body than an ascension where you feel, oh, you have to escape that. It's not, because as long as you're in this human body, you are integrating, embodying, not escaping, you know?
Right.
And for this demonstration, I need to explain to you what kind of sound tools I use.
Can I
Yeah.
ask one more question before we do that?
No, we don't have to do it now. We still have time. I just
okay.
wanted to explain how I use it. So, yeah, of course.
I wanted to ask about trauma. Can trauma veil our ability to connect with our soul mission and our understanding? How does trauma affect our ability to receive?
That's a very good question. Nobody asked me that question before. Depends on the level of trauma. Trauma can stand in the way, of course. Of course. Because,
so
you know,
does healing,
sorry,
would you encourage healing on different levels then? Counseling or therapy and other like energetic
sure.
healing
For
modalities
sure.
like
I have to tell you something, and I have been working more than 10 years as an alternative therapist, energy healer, coach, mental trainer, etc., like in Egypt and other places, with international clients, and even my own journey.
yeah.
I believe you cannot truly heal and transform if there is no spiritual part in it. So there is no full recovery from anything, from full healing, if you don't go to the spiritual healing, to spiritual, and however spiritual healing for you looks like. This is my conclusion of like my own story, and the story is of thousands of clients I worked with.
Yeah,
So this is
I
what
agree.
I'm convinced. So going back to trauma, definitely different healing modalities help. I mean, like you have one modality that is the EMDR, that is at the moment the best. They say it's the best method to heal trauma because the person doesn't have to reconnect and relive and all of that. They just work with to disconnect the emotions from the visuals in your mind, you know.
Yeah.
And this is also where NLP and these kind of modalities, logo synthesis, and all of that come into. So
Right.
I wouldn't say it's like leave that and only go to energy healing. I wouldn't say that. I would say combine both, because I like the holistic approach in everything. And do you know why? Because your body is a holistic body. It has the mental plane as well as the emotional plane as well as the spiritual plane. So you cannot just address one issue inside of you on one plane only. It will be unfulfilled.
Agreed. 100%. 100%.
And let me just also finish my answer before I forget. So trauma, yes, can stand in the way of healing, of course, or of connecting, because the trauma response is severe in people, you know, depending on the level of trauma, depending on what they have been through. So they either forget everything before and after the event. They either forget the event itself. They either direct that negative energy to themselves and do things to themselves that are very crucial. You know, you have different responses. So yes.
And we hold it in our body. Like we hold that.
Yes. There is this book which is called The Body Holds the Score. You know that?
I don't know that book, but I've read similar books. Yes. Yeah. And I've tried explaining it to people as well too, like the soul lessons that we're learning. If there's emotions attached to it, and if we don't process the emotions and understand what those lessons are, our body hangs on to it, and then you get that disease, right?
Absolutely. And you know what? Also, what I realized even more with light language, I knew that before, but even more with light language, you can ask your soul to help you. You know,
Yeah.
Of course, you ask, you talk to God, and of course, but also to yourself, to your higher self, to your highest self, which is your soul. You
Yeah.
can ask it to help you heal, to help you
So,
open up to the healing.
um, what would that feel like? Or, I'm not wording that correctly. Signs that someone is integrating more smoothly or resisting. What would be some of the signs on how they're integrating those frequencies, or light codes with ease? Or what would some signs be if they're resisting?
Some signs that they're resisting if they stay too much in their mind and want to, like me, the best candidates, and they want to like make sense of it, like to want to understand it in a linear way. But our soul is not linear, and and the frequencies and the vibrations connected to that are not linear. So that would be signs, if they really not able to connect to it because they're too much in their heads. And sign for integrating sorry, the more is if they would feel different, if they would feel more, if they would, like, for example, come from stiffness, if they, for example, all of a sudden would feel more flexible or more at ease, more, soothing, all of a sudden they do different movements, or they start dancing again, or they start singing, so because we have, these are all portals. So if the portals are being open and you feel like, oh my God, all of a sudden I want to do that and I want to do this is how they feel that they are receiving it, integrating it.
Yeah. I on social media, I have been watching a friend every night as she ends her day. She does this 5 minute. She calls it a shimmy. So she does
Oh,
5 minutes of dancing,
Mhm.
and she said she was really struggling with grief and struggling with heavy emotions, and um, it was creating that disconnect, right, between her emotional body and mental body and her physical body, creating all those disconnects. So she started dancing every night, and she posts it. She does it live so everybody can watch her dance, and you cannot help but feel her joy, and you get caught up in it. Just 5 minutes of like dancing. She shimmies. She says, "Time to shimmy," and she's doing this beautiful shimmy. So Danelle Decatur, you are a lovely person sharing your joy, and I
You see, this
appreciate
is also energy. You can also say this is like extended version of energy healing, because you connect to the frequency of that person.
it. Yeah.
By
So how can someone begin a relationship with their energy field or their subtle body? So if they have been disconnected for a long time with feeling even their physical body, or disconnected from their subtle body, how can they come back to that?
through the breath,
Thank you.
because the breath is the connection
Yeah,
to everything.
agree.
If you don't listen to your breath, and through your breath, I'm also breathing practitioner. So if you breathe very shallow, or if you breathe very like with not ease,
Yeah.
you will create blockages in your energy field that goes into your body, and then your body takes it over. And a lot of people can release a lot of blockages through breathing exercises. And there is one breathing technique that I can highly recommend everyone to try it out. It's awesome. This is also a breathing technique where you actually can connect to the spiritual realm. Is the conscious connected breathing. Do you know about that?
I don't know that term.
Yeah, conscious connected breathing, CCB, I think they call it, where you like breathe in a certain way, where you just focus on the breathe of the in breath, and the out breath like is automatically. And then you do it in a rhythmic way, etc., and then it brings you to a certain state, and that state, like, can open up things, can also open up blockages where you have anxiety and grief and release. So it's like it goes in both ways. So the connection, the start, is always the breath, always the breath. Because even when you say, okay, I start to meditate, but if you start meditating and you breathe wrongly, it doesn't bring anything.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand how you want to meditate, what kind of meditation. Because there are different breathing techniques. There are breathing techniques that calm you down. For example, if I do hypnotherapy. So if I want someone to like really get quickly into hypnosis, I do a certain breathing technique with them. If I need someone who's like, for example, when I was working with an athlete and I need them to be like really energized and like, oh, go on the field and like get it, like a basketball player, I give them a different breathing technique that generates fire, and you also have that, for example, in yoga. I'm a yin yoga and yoga nidra teacher also. So I teach that also. So here you use a very soothing, calm, relaxing breathing technique. But when you, for example, do Ashtanga or Vinyasa yoga, it's a very powerful yoga. You do the Ujjayi breathing, where you breathe from your throat, and this creates fire. This creates power. This creates where you can like be strong and do these energetic frequencies that Ashtanga and Vinyasa have.
Yeah.
So it's the breath, and then everything, and then you do everything else. But without focusing on breathing, anything else won't bring you the good desired or great result.
Agreed. It's all about the breath.
Yes.
Let me get to some of these comments. Laura is sharing Soma breathing exercises are quite the experience with meditation. I don't think I know those.
Yeah, if you combine them, but meditation without focusing on breath won't really be helpful.
Heidi is sharing, I have heard come back to your breath from so many guided meditations.
Yeah, you see?
Contessa is sharing, I don't know if you know the book Celestine Prophecy, but this seems a lot like what the book is about, energy and sharing the energy back and forth, connection with everything around us.
Yeah, I read that when I was 16, so it's a long time ago.
Okay, there was, thank you, Denise Smith. When we were talking about the books and bodies, so Emotion Code, and Laura is also sharing, I have heard of that book, The Body Holds the Score. I use in my practice the secret language of your body.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. I think that I got to all of those. Yes, James. James is all about putting music on and that there's magic in music. It's frequencies, right?
Yeah, not every music. Sorry, I have to disagree here.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, not every music is magic. Or like, let's say every music is magic, but what kind of magic? Let's phrase it this way.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah. So
you can go further with that if you want.
Sorry.
You can explain further if you would like to.
Yeah, it's the frequency of the music. Like it has been researched in different ways what frequency, what vibrations do to your body, to your field, to your energy. Like when you have very aggressive music, punk or techno music, for example, it does something to your field and you can hardly relax. You can hardly do a really like meditation and yoga when you listen to that kind of music. So you would need to go to a different frequency.
Yeah.
So it's all about like what the frequency is and what it does with you. And if I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the frequency of 432 is the best frequency, I think, for music, right? From like
I'm not sure. I think that's the frequency of my tuning fork, though. I think that's the fork that I have. Wiz, you know what, Wiz?
Has a different frequency. No, but I think that would be the right one.
I think, Wiz, I know that you're talking about like Jim Croce. I know the kind of music that feels like magic for you, and it definitely is magic. It is not something that would be harmful to spirit.
Yeah, it depends on the frequency, and I mean, like a lot of people would tell you, what kind of music you like to listen to. It depends on my mood.
Yes.
So you have sometimes people telling me if they are heartbroken, they love to listen to love songs, or if they are in a good mood and they want to like embrace the whole world, then they, I don't know, listen to salsa music, Latin American music or something, So it depends
I
on the
like
mood.
listening to rain.
To rain music?
Just
Nice.
rain. The sound of rain.
The sound of rain. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well,
Jackie is asking,
yeah.
you talked earlier about grounding. There are so many ways. Can you share suggestions you give to those you work with?
Yeah, I always start with the feet and like imagining roots getting out of the feet into the earth. And when you want like into the middle of the earth and like really be connected, you can imagine these roots being light beams. Or if you think you need really good grounding, you can imagine a black obsidian pyramid in the middle of the earth and your roots wrapping around that pyramid. If you feel like you really need good grounding. This is like the visualization I would do. Of course, there are other meditations, other techniques. You can also visualize that you are connected to the earth, to Mother Earth. You know, imagine Mother Earth as a beautiful figure coming to you and holding you. And at the same time, imagine Father Sky coming to you and holding you. And you all stand together in in an harmonious circle. You know, this is also grounding. Of course, you can eat certain foods to ground you, but that may be more damaging. I don't know. But coming from a visualization technique, that would be my technique I would use, or these two techniques.
Thank you for sharing. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
Heidi is sharing 432 hertz is Earth, 528 is self-love, healing and frequencies are associated with everything, planets, chakras. Yeah.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you. Just being mindful. Sorry, we'll share this, Laura Lee. I imagine a crystalline Gaia that I can connect my roots to her heart chakra, asking her to alchemist what no longer serves me and to please send me exactly what I need.
Yeah, I mean, like if you feel that this grounds you in the way that you need, okay, it's fine with me. You know, whatever works with you. Not every tool, not every method works with everyone or resonates with everyone.
Before the show, we had talked really quickly about how it feels when you're doing energy work. If you get tired doing energy work, if it raises your frequency, could you share some of that? I'm being mindful because we have about 15 minutes before we are finished and we have to start winding down. So I want you to be able to give us that channeled message, and I don't know how much time you need.
Okay. Yeah, I can do it like in 5 minutes or 3 minutes. You know, it's like a quick sending. Well, I did different healing modalities, or like I'm doing it. I learned different healing modalities, as I said earlier, and of course, as a healing vessel, you need to do your spiritual hygiene, because it's very important that you don't draw from your own energy. You know, when you do Reiki or pranic healing, you don't draw from your own energy. You draw from the divine energy. You draw the energy in. You know, in pranic healing, you do regularly a meditation called Twin Heart meditation, where you imagine, you know, like a channeling divine light through your crown chakra and your hand chakra to the earth. With this, you're charging yourself. So when I work with someone energetically, I need to really do my spiritual hygiene, energetic hygiene, in order to draw. If I don't do that, I can feel drained, because then I'm drawing from my own energy. The same goes with light language. Something similar goes with light language. I also need to do my spiritual hygiene here, but more protection, because when you open up to light language, you open up to how can I say it, to a realm where dark energy would love to come in. You know, so you need to have even more protection. What I realized, or what I'm experiencing, is when I work with light language, I'm being charged even more than working with other modalities. And I believe it's because I I feel the bliss. I feel the true connection to the divine, or the direct connection
Right.
through that tool even more strongly. Because really, every time I do I do work with my clients, sometimes 3-4 times a day, okay, which can be very exhausting normally. I feel blessed. I feel blissed. I feel like pushed. I feel energized. I feel really great. I feel like I'm being rejuvenated. So yeah, it's really awesome. I never felt like this when I was doing pranic healing or Reiki.
Heidi, thank you for sharing that. Heidi is just sharing. I love your vision, Carrie Lynn, of pulling either cosmos or earth energy to your heart space and making a bubble. So I teach people like breathing in the light of the spiritual sun in through your crown, and you can breathe it out from your heart space and creating that bubble anyway when you're doing your energy work. And then grounding from your feet.
Sometimes through the heart. Create that bubble through the heart.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel the same way when I'm doing energy work as well too. There's a difference. You can feel when you are, when it dips down and it becomes heavy where you're pulling from your resources, you can feel that. But it's really breath. Like when you stop and you take that breath, you through your breath, you're pulling in light and you pull back up into that space, and you can feel it's lighter.
Yeah, I mean, for example, with pranic healing, you have to be really very well trained to know how to draw the energy in, because depending on the protocol, you draw, for example, red energy through your root chakra, because in that protocol you need to work with the red energy of the root chakra, for example. Or like you draw in like green energy from your solar plexus. So you have to be very well trained in also your visualization and the ability of controlling your consciousness and your energy inside of yourself, to draw the right energy for the different protocols.
Beverly is sharing, without good spiritual energy, we see that psychic lice appear, being the small leftover sticky energy as oval black. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the
Hunter Peak is going to talk about that for sure, right, Beverly?
Down to the hygiene.
Yeah, spiritual hygiene is very important. It's more important, or just as important as your physical hygiene.
Yeah, normally you would never go to sleep without brushing your teeth. I would say so. And if then, I don't know if you feel that well or that good the other day, but so you need to come into the habit, especially if you're a light worker, especially if you are exposed to a lot of beings and energies and all of that.
You pay for it the next day if you don't.
Oh yeah.
Because learning curves. Learning curves for me. Yeah. And sometimes if I'm really overtired, and I don't, right? I'm just too tired. I want to crawl into bed, and then I pee for the next day. Like I know better. It's like having a psychic hangover. It's just sludgy and icky. And then I have even more work to do because I have to clear all of that more if I had just dealt with it the night before.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's true.
Do you feel comfortable? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel comfortable. I mean, like I have to see if I use my tools. I told you, I'm working with different tools. This is a sistrum from the goddess Hathor. This is a musical instrument, but it's also a healing instrument. So I'm using it. And this is like chime, an ordinary chime. And I use different tools like a healing fork and sometimes my ankh. So or like a kalimba, depending on what I feel is needed. So if I feel it's needed that I use one of these instruments, don't get shocked.
No, I think it's beautiful. Thank you. We're very blessed.
Okay. Just give me a moment to tune into it. Ayama etale iya sea rai tushama are unama u. Atehi mishi tu rato ayama hula he. Uti me yaho. Uiuha. Uiuha. Rutamahe. Rutamahe. Dayamature kashetea. Daramatuye kashetea. So it says, blessing upon you all. And there is no truer path than the path of your soul. And all of you listening now, you can all connect to that. You can all connect to your soul. And there are some people who feel deep sorrow. Know that your sorrow has a reason. Know that you can transform that sorrow. Ita she'ete urratu oma. Ita she'ete urratu oma he ammatu uiu. You are loved. You are a divine child, loved, and you have everything inside of you. Your answers are inside of you. You just need to have the courage to tap into that answer.
Lovely. That was
Thank
powerful.
you. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome.
And the question I was going to ask, you answered in your channel.
What was the question?
In the light language, the question was, role does love, joy, and play have in ascension and healing? And how important is having love and joy and play? And I think some of that came through in what you were channeling.
Yeah, I believe that you felt it, and as I said, very often, I don't understand what comes out, what the message is, but the other person will feel it, And what I felt very strongly is that you need to be reminded, or you need to remind yourself that you have the power, you have the answers inside of you. And for those who are feeling deep sorrow, because I feel there are a lot of people in your audience right now who feel sorrow and grief, know that this has a reason and know that you are able to transform it. Just have the courage.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's a beautiful message.
And of course, love is like the basis of everything.
What's next for you? Offerings. Where will you be? How can people connect with you?
Yeah, you can connect through my website, Salma Zone. I have usually, for those who are interested in like reawakening your light language, I have an 8-week session program where I like step by step guide them to be able to integrate and embody and reawaken that energy for them, that light language for them. And I also do consultancy, spiritual consultancy, past life regression, hypnotherapy, and other healing modalities that you can find on my website.
Yeah, there's so many.
There you can find my YouTube and my TikTok and my Instagram channels.
Yes. And you're just starting, right? You're just starting with your TikTok and YouTube. Are they just starting, or you're just starting to?
In regards to light language and or like that spiritual part, I'm just starting it. Yes, you will find it like almost empty. So I'm just starting to fill it and starting to build it up. And even on Instagram, I'm starting 2 new channels because I want to like shift the energy more to it and leave my old channel.
Yeah, so we are kindly, with much gratitude and appreciation, asking folks to please like and subscribe, follow, and share so we can help build that network up. So that work, which is so essentially important to people who are coming into awareness, have that connection. So
can I also add something? I forgot to add something. I also mainly work with people who are already working as light workers, who are already working as therapists, energy healers, coaches, demon hunters, and etc. When they activate their light language, it gives them a tool on top. And like most of my clients are coming from that background.
Amazing. Kason, we did do we did not. We held space and Sal Ma did healing. But if you watch when the replay comes up, you'll be able to watch it again. So you didn't miss it. It's just at the right time for you when you see it.
It will the energy and it will get to you even if you watch it on replay. You will connect to that anyway.
Denise is sharing awesome light language. Always makes my scalp squiggle. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you, Tia.
Thank you, Tia.
James, I thank you for holding space and being part of the show with us. Next week on the show, I have Marilyn Kaufman coming on, who is a past life regressionist. She's written a book called Lifetimes, and she's going to talk about past lives and in between lives. Going to be our discussion next week. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing all of who you are with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me, for having me, to the audience, for engaging with these beautiful messages and questions. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Good. Yeah. I'm so grateful. Thank you, everybody, for being part of the show and part of the chat tonight. Thank you for being here and holding space for one another. Thank you to the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Stay tuned because the next show is Church of Mavis with Jeffrey Pritchett, which we all love Jeffrey. So thank you for sticking around and hanging out, everybody. Have a good week, and I will see you next Thursday with Laura Lee Potvin with Beneath the Hollow Moon. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye-bye.